performance and wellness. And this week, week 3, decided to make a slight little change. We're going to go back over week 1 and week 2 to give you a better understanding, more in-depth understanding of how it can look week to week to help you improve your performance. All right, so everything I'm giving you is things and tools you guys need to form good habits to help you thrive, not just in your sport, but in life. All right, so the first thing we had, week 1, we talked about resilience, adjusting and adapting. The first thing we need to do, whatever the goal is, whether it be sport related or not, is we need to have a goal and a mindset, okay? What our goal looks like taking a piece of paper, figuring out what it is we want to accomplish, and go into depth as to why we want to accomplish it. So, write down the goal. Why do we have that goal? Okay? Your first why, your first level of why, that's also a goal. Okay? Once we get that written down, we go to the next level. Why do we want to accomplish that? Let's say I'm a football player, all right? I want to be all-state. Okay? I want to be all-state. Why do I want to be all-state? Because I want to be the best player in the state. All right? That's the first level of why. Second level, why do you want to be the best player in the state? I want to make my parents proud. All right? Why do you want to make your parents proud? Because they sacrificed for you. Simple as that. All right? Write your goal down, and then you're up to 3 levels of why. If you can go more, go more. Cool. But at least have 2. 2 would be ideal. Once we get our goals written down, once we get our whys written down, that's what sets our mindset. Okay? Once we know what our goal is and why we have that goal or goals, then we know how to dial in mentally to accomplish those things. The second thing we looked at for week 1 was core strength and function. So obviously we can go out and do 1,000 sit-ups or whatever a day, however you want to break it down. But that doesn't necessarily mean your core is going to be strong or functional. Your core is more than just the muscles you see on the front when you're ripped up and haven't eaten in 3 days. Right? The core is every muscle that helps your limbs move, that helps you function athletically and as a human. All right, so obviously your abdominals is part of that, your obliques, your mid and lower back, your glutes and hips, all of these muscles and more are all a part of your core, okay? So everything we want to do is focus on stabilizing to make that strong and functional. The core itself isn't the functional part or dynamic mover, but its function is to stabilize, strengthen, and help move everything else to generate as much force, power, speed, whatever it is you're doing to be a better athlete, to be a better human. All right? So any plank variation you can think of, obviously you want to start with basic plank, either low or high, what I call push-up planks. But any plank variation, just so you can focus on stabilizing your core, making sure your pelvis is in the correct position, and making sure you're able to stabilize and hold your own body weight and limbs still. So after plank variations, we can get into anti-rotation, flexion, and extension, which is very similar and almost sometimes, depending on what exercise you're doing, to plank variations. But now you can add a little bit of external resistance just so you can force that stabilization and force that neutral position even more. The third thing we had for week 1 was sprinting. All right, sprinting, again, like I said in week 1 video, is the most athletic thing we can do as a human and the most beneficial thing we can do as an athlete. First thing we need to focus on is mechanics. All right, first thing we need to focus on is mechanics. Those that run track or have run track or any other sport, you've probably heard 1,000 different cues and teachings to teach you to run faster. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But focus on the mechanics of sprinting to make the movement as efficient and effortless as possible. Not to say you won't have to put the effort in, but it shouldn't feel like you're trying to push a car up a hill. All right? Now, after we get the mechanics, we need to focus on how that sprint workout is going to look. Okay? So sprinting is really anywhere from 5 to 60 meters, anywhere in between there. Especially the faster you are, the more elite you are. But since I'm talking middle school, high school, and college athletes, most of us aren't elite yet, right? But 5 to 30 yards or meters for a good sprint workout. And after we mark that off, we We can calculate it by calculating the total yardage or the volume that we're doing for that day. All right, so we're doing, let's say, 5 sets of 20 yards. 5 sets of 20 yards, 5 times 20 is 100, so that's 100 yards of total volume, which is a great starting point. After we get our yardage volume marked off, we need to focus on our intent and rest. All right, the intent, again, like I spoke on week 1, at least 90%. All right, 90% of full speed is the minimum effort you should put into a sprint for it to be considered a sprint and for you to be able to focus on getting faster. So if we're not putting in at least A-% or A- intention into what we're doing, we're not going to get better. All right. With our intention, also need to focus on rest. They go hand in hand. All right. So a good calculation for you to set your rest is for every 10 yards, you need to have at least a minute rest. You can look at 5 yards or 5 meters, cut it in half would be 30 seconds of rest, which is plenty of time if you're only going 5 yards. All right. It'll feel like, in some cases, it'll feel like you're almost wasting time. But again, if our intention is to get faster and focus on our speed, we need to take the rest. All right. Similar to strength, if you want to get stronger, take the rest when you're lifting. All right. When you get back to lifting. All right. If you're lifting 90%, depending on who you are, if you're lifting 90% of your 1 rep max, you don't want to take a 30-second rest because that workout, 1, it'll feel terrible. And then 2, you won't get the strength increases, or at least you won't get them as optimally as you can. All right. So again, intention to rest at least 90. And for every 10 yards or 10 meters, take at least a minute rest. Week 2, we looked at accountability. Can you put yourself in a box with only the things you need to succeed and stay in that box? Can you do the things you need to do to succeed, to thrive in whatever it is you're doing? All right. So going again, know the goals for yourself and for your team. It's really that simple. If you know the goals, you have them written down somewhere, or if you can see them daily, you look at them every day, you know the goal is, you know what you need to do to accomplish it. Stay true to that. Second thing we looked at was acceleration and deceleration. Starting, stopping, changing direction, all those things that athletes do, even track and field, even though you're running in one direction, all right, or track rather, even though you're running in one direction, can you go as fast as you can? Can you slow down? Can you change direction? Can you speed back up? All these things, acceleration, deceleration, and again, similar to sprinting, a regular sprint workout, or regular sprinting, focus on the intent. All right, you need to go as fast as you can, get up to top speed as fast as you can, or as close to top speed as you can. Drop the speed down, either re-accelerate, change direction, completely stop. All of these things are the intention. All right, again, rest, extremely important, because we're focusing on max speed or getting as close to max speed, at least 90%. There's no point in us focusing on jogging and slowing down because jogging is already slow, right? We go as fast as you can, slow down as fast as you can, take the rest because that's 1, still focusing on max speed, and 2, it's a lot of pressure and a lot of stress on our joints. So you want to make sure we're giving them a time to rest, recover during the workout and after. All right. That goes right into our last point for week 2 is the low-hanging fruit, the things that are easy to accomplish without much work. Sleep, rest, and recovery. All right, so rest goes back to our intention for speed, acceleration, deceleration, all those things. That's rest. And afterwards, make sure you're taking the rest. Let's say you have 2 workouts in a day. All right, make sure you take the full rest. Don't go play basketball and then try to work out again or whatever it is you're doing. Take the rest you need to get the full recovery that you need to do it again, either the next session, next day, whatever it may be. All right. But more so, make sure we're getting sleep. All right. Most of, at least for musculature, most of the muscle gains that we get is during sleep because our body's able to completely stop and recover from what we did that day so we can grow for the next time and adapt to the stress from the previous training session. All right, so make sure we're getting at least 8 hours of sleep. All right, 8 hours of sleep, scheduled sleep at night. Everything's completely shut off. No cell phone, lights off, TV's off, nothing but you, your bed, and your pillow. All right. After that, you got nutrition. All right, nutrition and diets are not the same thing. Nutrition is what you're supposed to be eating on a regular basis. Diet is what you're doing when you're trying to make a drastic change to something else. All right. Nutrition is more important because one, we're going to do it on a more consistent basis, and two, it's going to have a longer lasting effect than just that one drastic change we're trying to make, and it's easier to stick with because again, we're focused on forming habits. All right. So we need to have good nutrition, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, depending on what your goal is. Throw a snack in between each of those meals. That gives you anywhere between 3 to possibly 6 meals in a day. All right, 3 to 6 meals in a day is the goal. I know it's a wide range, but if we can make a habit of it, it becomes much easier. Lastly, we're looking at flexibility and mobility. The difference between the two is essentially flexibility is my body's passive ability to move a joint through a certain range of motion. All right, this is my flexibility. All right, my mobility, how high can I lift my leg up while I'm sprinting? All right, this is a sprinting motion. How high can I do this flexibility motion over and over through a dynamic range of motion? All right, dynamic just means moving. Okay, so this is moving, mobility. All right, this is stationary, just checking general range of motion. All right, both are important. Depending on what you're doing can determine which one is more important at a certain time than the other, but still, nonetheless, they're both important. That's week 3, a recap of week 1 and week 2. Hopefully this is helping you out. Continue to do more of it. Continue to bring as much useful content as possible. See you next time.